So we just spotted Trainspotting 2, and I tell you what, this is how you do those delayed sequels right. Oh boy, I could do with another hit of this.
So Trainspotting 2 is the sequel to Trainspotting. How about that, hey?
Oh, imagine.
But yes, it's directed by Danny Boyle once again. He's come back and the whole cast has returned here. And
everyone has come back, literally everyone.
And it pretty much, the story picks up pretty much 20 years later from the first one. And it's based upon the sequel book somewhat, which is Porno, and obviously the original was Trainspotting. And yeah,
it feels like the right kind of development. Basically, everyone has moved on in their lives. Some of them haven't, some of them have, but time has passed, and we pick up with basically all four of our main characters at the point they're at in their lives, and through a chain of events, which we won't spoil if you don't already know, they all intersect, and it leads to one of the most enjoyable and crazy movies I've ever seen. And it's also definitely, I think, like, just off the top of my head right now, this is definitely one of the absolute best. At the moment, we're getting all these sequels where they wait for like 10 years or something and they bring all the characters back and go again for a round two, and it usually sucks. This is not that. This is it done right. And to a degree, I probably, if you'd ask me which one I want to watch, I'd probably put watching this over the original Trainspotting. I'm not saying it's better, but I think this movie is genuinely one of the most entertaining experiences we're going to have all year.
Well, in a year where we're going to get sequels to obviously Twin Peaks, Blade Runner, and now Trainspotting, this is a really damn good start for starters.
Yeah.
And obviously, it just grows and expands on every single level here. And I think no matter what, if you're a fan of the original or you even somewhat enjoy the original, you're really going to enjoy this film because it doesn't just cater to the fans, it also caters to people that just really enjoy films and enjoy seeing characters return and progress.
Enjoy having a really good time. This is one of those movies that has a really distinct style. Obviously, it's got the exact same style as the first, but with that updated kind of visual look. Everything looks a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner. But it's one of those movies that's just a really, really watchable movie, considering it's an R-rated film, I'm assuming, because there's enough R-rated stuff there to make it R-rated. It's one of those movies that really balances being intense and thoughtful and humorless. Definitely not. This is one of the funniest movies of the year so far, even though it's only February. But it balances all those things really well and actually comes together into what I think is a really, really watchable movie if you enjoy the intense style.
And you know what? It really does come down to Danny Boyle. And Danny Boyle's films, he always kind of hides as a director, I feel. You watch his films and everything feels so effortless, you know? Whether it be 127 Hours, Steve Jobs, Trainspotting.
I'm not saying it's not. He's just so talented that he just makes it all so smooth and adapts to any film.
But you can tell there's just so much effort, you know? And there's so much thought going into everything. And my God, like, there's so many great scenes in this film, and again, I watched this and I was like, you know, how on earth is this film paced and like structured together? Because there's really nothing else quite like both Trainspotting and the sequel that just functions like it does.
Yeah, it's really, really bizarre. And what I must say, there's been a lot of talk here getting the same characters come back after 20 years. It's an evolution of the story. I think the most exciting evolution that happens in this film is with Danny Boyle. The guy's got so much more experience to back up the type of energy he had in the first film, and it really shows in every single scene. I actually, when this movie finished, I was sitting there and I was like, wow, that was really good. And literally about 5 minutes later, I actually broke down and started crying because it's one thing that I really hope people get from this movie is that it's taken the ideas of the first. It's taken that whole choose life thing, and it goes, what happens when you choose a path? And it's all of these characters. This movie's almost a reflective type film of all these characters going over what's happened over the last 20 years of their lives, almost their whole lives. And this movie does some really, really great stuff with that. There's a whole lot of scenes where a shot will end in a slight freeze frame for a couple of seconds, and it captures the moment like a photo, and it draws your attention to the fact that once that moment's passed, it's gone. And the characters reflect on that in a really, really interesting way. And it's really heartbreaking.
I think the best thing for me coming out of this film as well is just kind of how goddamn great it's grounded back in reality. Obviously, the first one kind of lives up here and kind of has this weird sort of
there's more drug use in the first one. This is less drug use and more, I don't know, just aging it, just an exploration
just kind of reality of characters as well. It kind of brings it all down to a ground level, but also still having that kind of, you know, weird, crazy vibes at times.
It feels like Trainspotting, but it's an evolution, you know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
Walking out of it, my only kind of real kind of problem I found was that the last third of the film for me it wasn't sloppy in its pacing, but I just kind of found it just fell down a bit. I didn't feel as involved as I should have been because it got quite emotional for a long time for the last half hour. But it's not that like I didn't enjoy it. It was still good. It just wasn't at a great level where I was connecting with it. It's probably as much as I'd hoped to. But like the thing is, I still got all the messages, and all the messages are really clear, and you know, I can really respect that.
And I definitely feel that that is something that is present, and a lot of people will feel that. Whereas for me, it probably works the other way around. As the film started, there was something that was kind of a little bit off with some of the scenes and some of the characters that get called back. The moments don't exactly land. A lot of these characters that we've seen before have, again, evolved, and we see them in a new way, and a couple of the scenes just didn't necessarily have the punch I was expecting. But obviously, as I've said, I cried at the end of it, so therefore the whole movie kind of stacked for me, and all the ideas, all of these life experiences of the characters, all the choices they made, everything stacked up at the end into what I think is a really, really great finale. Yes, it's interestingly paced, but I think it all stacked and it's going to hit some people really hard. I think my hope is that we only saw the first Trainspotting a week ago. Okay, so we haven't had 20 years to sit on this movie, but the fact that we both had such a good time with it, I think is a testament to just how good this movie is, considering we only saw the first one a week ago.
So yeah, between these two films, I'm just really excited to even move into the future and, you know, continue watching them as well. And that's the best thing about it is it's not just a sequel that's nostalgic, it's a sequel that is, again, rewatchable.
It's a really good
and
movie
it stands on its own as well, which is fantastic.
I go and buy it. I go and watch it again.
100%.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, we really recommend it. If you can check this film out, my goodness, go and see it.
Please make sure you've seen the first one first, because you'll get so much more out of it if you have.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Anyway, for me, I'm giving this one an 8.5 out of 10.
And for me, I'm going to give this an 8.9. As I said, really, really enjoyable. Just a couple of things in it that don't exactly make it perfect, but it is definitely, it's a strong call at the top of our list for the year so far.
2017 is off to a good start.
With this one, because 50 Shades it wasn't.
What is happening to me?
So that was our review of T2 Trainspotting. Have you seen it yet?
Did you like it?
Did you hate it?
Did you like this video?
Of course you did.
Pray for more banter.
If so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel down there somewhere.
And you can also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Breaking Banner.